Brr, brr, brr. Brr, brr, brr. Hey y'all, good morning. I believe it's May the 12th, 2018. It's a Saturday morning here in San Antonio, Texas. It's kind of cloudy, and so therefore it's pretty cool right now. I would imagine, as you can kind of see, the clouds will break up and it's gonna get hot, wet out here. I hope y'all are having a wonderful morning wherever y'all are at. All right. Right now, it just kind of dawned on me or whatever to do a live stream about this particular topic that we've been discussing on this channel over the past couple of days. Right, the topic is, of course, Aileen Wuornos. Well, more broadly, the things people had to say who are facing their impending demise. People on death row. Lots of times you'll find that there's interviews conducted with them and stuff. They'll do video interviews, or they'll write things or whatever. They have words to say. All right, we've been covering Aileen Wuornos, and I went ahead and did what I did. And in that, I slowed down the video. I took the video clip from the internet. You can easily find it on the internet. Took that video clip, slowed it down, wrote out the whole transcript. All right, because I felt like it was important to not only hear the words, but see the words in front of you. All right, in front of me. You know, it took a long time. And the thing is, I kind of soak it all in while I'm writing down the transcript. I'm not the fastest typer, but I'll type pretty fast and stuff, or I'll write pretty fast while they're saying some stuff. It does take a while, so I had to dwell upon the words. And that's something actually that I pretty typically enjoy to do. It might seem boring from the outside, but I dwell upon those words that are said as I write the transcript. And that's what I did. I think I'm going to post the actual video at its regular speed. All right, that'll be the next video after this one, probably. The thing is, you could easily find it upon YouTube. You could probably easily find it, but just in case you can't find it, you just stay subscribed to me, and I'll post it up next. The entire video of the interview of Aileen Wuornos done by some fella named Nick. Now, I'm not sure who Nick is. All right, I'm pretty sure it'll be easy to find out who Nick is. So I'm going to probably do that shortly. The thing is, she's being interviewed by a guy named Nick. All right, and the original video clip played in real time is at about 7 minutes. 7 minutes long. So it's pretty view. Oh man, I'm sorry if I'm buffering out there, you guys. I can't help the buffering. See if I can't work out the kinks to all the buffering, but we were talking about a whole world of, here's the thing, while phoning in the whole entire conversation, basically, it was as though he already had his article or his documentary or whatever he was making, as though he had already had it made. He really was not very concerned with what Aileen Wuornos was saying. But if you disregard that, if you disregard Nick, the fact is he really did not have one. It was like he was halfway listening. All right. If you disregard Nick and the fact that he was like, hey, are you ready to die? Aileen, are you ready to die? How do you feel about that? If you disregard that, and the fact is, it was honestly pretty creepy. The fact that he wouldn't stop asking her, hey, how does it feel that you're going to die tomorrow, Aileen? How does that feel? He just kept asking it. He would ask silly questions. And we're going to discuss that probably a little bit more later on in this stream. All right. Oh, there's Bella, by the way. Well, that's used to be part of her body. Um, the thing is, Aileen, basically, as you can clearly see, she's saying wild things. She's saying things that are either, might I remind everybody out there, either are true or not true. Aileen, she's saying some very off the wall things. All right, a lot of people, to include Nick. The thing is, I don't know Nick's whole story. Perhaps Nick was studying Aileen very closely and knew she was lying. The thing is, I don't know. But if you were just to watch this particular video clip, you're going to see Nick, just like most people on earth who would listen to Aileen, maybe get a sentence and a half in, and they'd be like, they'd blow the whole entire thing off. All right. That's what Nick does. He's not really trying to hear it, but just to be very brief, Aileen, what she was describing is she went ahead and murdered a person. This is basically, to paraphrase Aileen, she murdered a person. Maybe she murdered a person or two. All right? She was not good at it. Let's think of it. You have to recognize certain facts as being much laid out there. As the fact is, Aileen Wuornos was not good at murder. I mean, they put her to death. They're pretty dang. She murdered a lot of these people, and it certainly was not for self. I know that Aileen, she said it was for self-defense. All right, she said that in court and stuff like that. She was lying, and then later on, she admitted, "Hey, I was lying." All right, I know a lot of people probably seen these corresponding videos out on the internet. All right, she admitted that she was lying. The thing is, the sequence of events carried out, and in that, it seemed like more and more interesting details were coming out of Aileen, more and more towards the end of her little journey. All right. Aileen was describing, well, yeah, she murdered a couple people, but the thing is, she should have been found out. She wasn't good at getting away with it, you guys. So, basically, what she was attempting to illustrate for everybody was that she should have been caught. She very well should have been caught. Was not caught for 7 people in a row. Wow. Now, if you don't even think about how that is possible, that this lady who's not very good at getting away with stuff, how she could murder 7 people in a row, how she could do that, the possibilities of how she could do that, even though there's a mountain of evidence that's just piled up and piled up and piled up on her, to the point as, you know, when she got to actually having a trial, she had a mountain of evidence incriminating the crap out of her. All right? She's explaining, Aileen is explaining, that's not even possible. Y'all are thinking about some Fantasyland bull stuff. It's not even possible. The thing is, they should have caught me. They just kind of let me keep doing my thing. These cops. Not only that, you clearly hear Aileen say, man, all sort of fantastical things. I know a lot of people wouldn't want to believe it. I wouldn't want to believe it. All right, as far as sheriff deputies being dropped down from helicopters and stuff, all sort of decoys picking her up, doing this and that. People wouldn't want to believe it. That's the thing about it. It's not really about whether or not you want to believe. I'm not telling you to believe what Aileen Wuornos is saying. I'm not asking you to believe it. Don't, but by any means, don't believe what I'm saying. All right, but is it plausible? You have to ask yourself that question. The thing is, the question, another question would be, what is skepticism? Is it plausible that this could happen? All right. Is this relatable to any other instances that you've heard about? Is this something in the realm of plausibility? Is it rational to think? That's why I've been, especially going over this particular interview, is it rational to think that people would have the motivation, that the police would have that sort of motivation to do the things that Aileen is accusing them of doing, as far as overseeing the whole stuff, almost to the point of facilitating this murder spree? Would it be rational? Because the thing is, Aileen, she's laying it all out there as to the rationale that the police would have as far as letting her clean up the streets. Then, we reel her in. It does kind of make sense, and it's very reminiscent of a lot of stories that have been told, even to include movies from out of Hollywood, have told about certain things happening like this. However, in the scheme of things, in reference to Hollywood, they made a movie, and it was about Aileen Wuornos. Make no mistake, that's who they were making it about. This movie called Monster. I know a lot of y'all probably heard about it. I know I seen it one time back in the day. Monster with Charlize Theron. And, a lot of us are going to find it surprising, but it turns out that Monster and Charlize Theron, even though it's about Aileen Wuornos, it absolutely is about her. It's not really about her at all. At all. Totally fabricated. What you've seen in that movie that is not how it goes. All right. Then that movie Monster is absolutely more interesting. If you were to know Eileen's background and her childhood, you find it quite interesting what Aileen Wuornos is saying, whether or not it is a lie or not. It's quite intriguing, right? But we're here to study, I guess, this morning and analyze whether or not Aileen could be possibly telling the truth and what her motivation would be. Just to real briefly analyze the whole belief and faith aspect, in consideration for God and Jesus, that Aileen was beginning to pour more out, I guess, towards the end of her life, more and more. Right? When we consider that, consider the way that Aileen, whether or not you like Aileen, whether or not I like Aileen, whether or not we think that she killed 7 people, and we're pretty sure that she did kill those 7 people, at least. It really doesn't matter. Aileen, she believes, or at least she wants to seem that as though she believes that there is a heaven or a beyond, as she would call it, in which there will be God and there will be Jesus, and she believes that they're going to zip her off in a spaceship, all right, somewhere to recolonize on a different planet. All right. Thing is, a lot of people would tell her that's not going to happen. A lot of people would tell her it's not going to happen. I want to think about that for a second. Nobody knows. All right. So there is that. You really can't tell someone it's not going to happen, because by all means, it might very well happen. Who's to say that it wouldn't happen? All right. A lot of people would want to deny Aileen Wuornos going to heaven. A lot of people who do and don't even believe in heaven would want to deny Aileen Wuornos that she's going to heaven, simply because she did murder 7 people. And I can understand the logic in arguing that you don't think Aileen Wuornos is going to go to heaven because she murdered 7 people. Thou shalt not kill, and this and that. There is a time and a place for everything. All right? It's not to say that's in reference to this situation, because it did seem like Aileen Wuornos was killing people. All right, and probably, perhaps, I don't think was probably justified. All right, I do want to point that out, but I also want to point out the situation is Aileen Wuornos truly believed, or at least looked as though she believed she was going to go to heaven and be zipped off in a spaceship and recolonized to somewhere else. She's going to see God and Jesus, and that's about it. And that's why she's got to tell the truth. See, that would be Aileen Wuornos' motivation. The thing is, everybody always has a motivation. Whether or not we want to agree with it or believe in their motivation really does not matter. They do have motivation. All right, so if Aileen Wuornos, if we're to consider her words, if Aileen Wuornos has a motivation to want to get on a spaceship and zip about the galaxy with God and Jesus, all right, being the passenger side, Aileen Wuornos just strapped in there like a Star Trek. She does have that motivation. Maybe she would want to tell the truth in its entirety the way that the Bible explains that she does have to tell the truth in its entirety. All right, that would be her motivation. I know a lot of people wouldn't want to understand that, or they just can't understand that. But I do want to discuss that real briefly. The idea that even a murderer can go to heaven if they simply repent from their ways. All right, and I'd be willing to go so far as to anybody. Anybody can do anything. That's what's the interesting part to, if you say Christianity or the following of Jesus, is a lot of people think, well, that's a religion. And I would be willing to debate people on it, and that Jesus ain't a religion. All right, Aileen Wuornos wants to go on a spaceship and zip around the galaxy with God and Jesus, but what I want to stress right now is that God and Jesus ain't a religion. A lot of people are looking at it as though it is a religion, as though you got to understand, in a religion, there's certain things that you have to do to make sure that you are a good person and that you do good things. And the concept of Jesus and the concept of Jesus and being a Christian, you start to understand that there's nothing that you can do or not do. All right, you can in fact be a murderer. There's people in the Bible who's murderers and stuff. There's people in the Bible who absolutely went against Jesus all that they could, or went against God all that they could, and then eventually realized the error of their ways. That is to suggest that even murderers, even 7-time murderers, like Aileen Wuornos, even they have the chance and the possibility of going to the beyond and zipping about the galaxy in space shuttles. Right? Even if they do murder 7 people, I want to explain. The reason is because, might I suggest, is that there's nothing that you can do to ensure that you can go to heaven. There's not one thing that you could do on earth. And there's not really a thing that you could do on earth that can ensure that you make your way to hell and stuff. And I know a lot of people don't believe in either one of those things. All right? The simple concept of it all is that all you really have to do is accept that there is a God. And in fact, there's only one God. Relate that God to Jesus. That's number 2. I would definitely suggest that. A lot of people wouldn't want to do that. But I'm out here to suggest that for y'all, for your consideration. All right? And then repent from all your ways, your sinful bad ways. And we all have them. We all do. I'm not trying to accuse nobody out there. I don't think Eileen's trying to accuse nobody out there. In fact, she's trying to accuse everybody out there. She's like, dude, we all have evil ways. We're all extremely evil. If you're to listen to Aileen Wuornos and different other clips, it's talking about, we're all filled up with so much evil. And she's talking about all the evil she's all filled up with. Things of that nature. Nobody here is denying that Aileen Wuornos, in fact, was a murderer. She's out here trying to say, hey, yeah, I murdered these people all in cold blood, dude. Don't even worry about it, dude. Like, I took it and I robbed them. I was getting real high on robbing them and stuff like this. I was really in a bad way. She was a murderer. And then later on in court, and she might have said it a number of times, she said, you know, I really do deserve the death penalty because, dude, if you do not kill me, I'm going to kill somebody again. I'm definitely going to do it. All right. It's very interesting. Eileen's relationship that she gets with God, the God of the Bible, that is of Jesus, towards the end, because she realizes there wasn't nothing that she could do anyways to get to heaven, if you will. And although she's done a lot of things very sinful, and she admits to it, and I guess her own writings and stuff, and I gotta look that up. She admits that all these things that she does has been sinful, very sinful, and it was lying leading all up to it. There was a point, allegedly, now we don't know if any of this is true, but there's a point allegedly in prison. She's waiting for that death penalty to be up on her. All right, and Aileen Wuornos, she finds God and she finds Jesus there. She realizes that perhaps if she were to really, because she's in a situation where she's going to be put to death regardless, she realizes this many years later, and she realizes ain't nothing keeping this death from being upon her. She finds God, she finds Jesus, and she finds a way that might be zipping around the galaxy in a spaceship, doing like some Star Trek colonization and stuff. And who's to tell her that she's not? If she merely repents all her ways and she starts telling the truth for what it is. Now, to dive into the interview, and I see that somebody's watching. I wonder who that is. But check the comments. Oh, they didn't say anything. This person's watching. Whoever's watching, go ahead and say some stuff. But here's the thing. That is Eileen's motivation. She wants to be zipping around all over the place. I'm here to suggest to you that the Bible would say that that's very possible for Aileen to do. That's what the Bible would say. That's what I'm suggesting to you is what it would say. Is that it's very possible that Aileen, because we don't know, we have no idea what's in the beyond when she describes it that way. What is in the beyond? We have no idea. And in fact, murderers can even, I'm here to suggest to you today that murder is not even the worst thing that you could do to a person. All right? And I'm not a fan of murder. I don't support murders or anything like that. But it's still not even the worst thing that you could do to a person. You do a lot of much worse things to people, and it's all terrible. It's all no good, and I don't support any of it, me personally. All right, but you could murder all these people if you just turn from your ways. And I like to use the analogy, and no, I'm not insinuating that Hillary Clinton's ever murdered anybody, but I'm here to tell you that I truly believe Hillary Clinton has a chance of going to heaven. She really does. She sincerely, I would suggest for her to repent and change her ways. Sincerely, I would, because she's going down a dark path. She's been going down a dark path for a long time. Even Hillary Clinton can go to heaven. That's what I'm suggesting. Even Hillary Clinton can zip about the galaxy in a space shuttle, all Star Trek style, with Jesus, at the wheel, and she could be the cockpit. It could be like Star Trek. Even Hillary Clinton could do it. I hope that she does it, but she's going to have to repent from her ways. Aileen Wuornos is spilling her guts. She might be lying. But she does have a motivation to tell the truth. Meanwhile, in the interview, Aileen Wuornos, she's basically putting on display a whole scenario in which it's much worse. What she's describing is much worse than a lady getting away with killing 7 people. It's actually much worse. What Aileen Wuornos was describing was sheriff deputies being dropped down from the sky from helicopters, all sort of decoys, looking over, seeing over, perhaps facilitating in one way or another. Aileen Wuornos going about killing people. All right. You gotta understand that's a much more interesting story than what was played out in the Hollywood movie. It's much more interesting than a lot of people will probably recant to you right now. All right, sheriff deputies and this and that, overseeing it. Mysterious men overseeing it. Well, see, the thing is, if they're sheriff deputies, man, they're being paid by us through taxpayer money. We're paying them to do this. It's the story that Eileen is trying to give to you. She's trying to give it to me. And I don't know if I believe it. I don't know if I would suggest out there for anybody else to believe Aileen Wuornos at what she's saying. But the thing is it possible? I guess that's what we really wanted to discuss throughout this series of videos. Is it plausible? Is it rational to think that this sort of thing would happen? Does it remind you of other similar incidents where this sort of thing could have happened? Is it rational to think that the police would want to do this, reel in this lady? When considering Eileen's background and her childhood, would she or would she not be the ideal type of person to want to screw over royally, have her start killing people, but reel her in and just call her a crazy person, throw her in the dang jail cell, be like, hey, we're going to kill her pretty dang soon? What they would call a patsy or what they would call a cutout, like someone to throw away. Would Aileen Wuornos, I mean, in being objective about it, would she not be the perfect candidate to just go ahead and chew up, spit out, and throw away, use her for what you will, throw her away, all right? Maybe give her the death penalty. Of course, it always takes like 12 freaking years to give someone the actual death penalty. So in the meantime, okay, would it be plausible? Would it be reasonable? All right. Would it be practical to think that the people who are giving her facilities and her resources, people who are giving her a cell to live in for all these years, awaiting the death penalty, those people giving her food and giving her everything that she needs to live, would it be reasonable to think that those people might start messing with her? All right, because the thing is, if Eileen, what she's saying is true, that's actually a lot worse. Like I suggested, it might be a lot worse. It might be a lot worse than a lady going around killing 7 people, to think that the police who we're paying to look after us are actually overseeing the whole deal. That might be a lot worse to think about. That might be a more sensational story than the story that everybody heard on Monster. All right, so is it logical to think? And then a lot of people would look at the technology involved. They would look at terms such as, what was it, sonic pressure. And they would think about the years, 1997, because that's what she mentioned. Oh, they've been using sonic pressure on her head since 1997. A lot of people would look at it and be like, oh, well, this is how I know that Eileen's lying. I got a weird comment of all question marks from Exclusivo. And hey, what's up, man? I don't know about the question marks. Thing is, Aileen Wuornos was describing a situation of sonic pressure done upon her head. A lot of people would be like, well, obviously that didn't happen because that sort of technology didn't exist. And it's like, well, see, that's where I guess a divide is taking place, because honestly, I have no idea how that technology did not exist back in 1997. That absolutely had to exist in 1997. There's so much technology out there that you wouldn't believe. It's like, I don't even know all of it. But we have insane kind of technology to where if you wanted to put pressure on people's heads, if they're in a cell, if they can't go nowhere, if they don't talk to many people, if everybody around them thinks that they're crazy nutballs, or you could do weird, wild things to people who are in a cell. You control the electricity around them. You control the water that they receive. You control the food that they get. You control everything. You can control the intercom. You can have the intercom on and say that it's not on, but it is, and have it on all the time and stuff like that. You could definitely be putting sonic pressure on someone's head. That's definitely possible. Did it happen? I'm not saying it did happen. I'm saying this is the story of Aileen Wuornos. She was telling you it did happen. And she's laying out a whole plot that actually does make sense. Where, at the end of the day, it's interesting how Aileen Wuornos' plot does make sense, but the Hollywood movie plot, it did make sense. All right, what people were gathering from this whole situation, none of that did make sense. How is this? I mean, when you think about the fact is that Aileen Wuornos got put away to death, sentenced to death, because she had a mountain of evidence against her. How is it even possible that she can go around killing so much? See, that story does not even add up. All right. Eileen's story, unfortunately for everybody, it does add up. It actually is kind of reasonable to think about it. All right. In such case, you would have to spill your guts as Aileen Wuornos. She might as well. She's going to be put to death either way. What you would do is you would spill your guts about all of it. And no matter how crazy it might seem, it really doesn't matter. People already think you're crazy. So Eileen's motivation, if she wants to zip around on a spaceship from galaxy to galaxy, her motivation would be to tell the entire truth, no matter how crazy she seems, because it is the truth. Because that is a much wilder situation to think that we have people out there that we're paying them money in order to basically snatch any one of our stragglers up, call them, I mean, maybe they are a murderer, maybe lead them to murder, use them as a murder tool in and around the community, snatch them up, say, hey, you're the bad person, you're the only bad person, and we're going to put you in jail and hope that you rot away in jail and nobody listens to you. Everybody thinks you're crazy, even though we're the ones who overseen this killing and stuff like that, but we're not even going to mention ourselves. We're just going to say, oh, this lady, she's bad. This lady, you see this lady, she's a monster. We're going to make a movie about it. We're going to make it seem all grassroots and stuff like that, but we're going to make a movie about this lady, and she's a dang dirty monster because she's been sexually exploited all throughout her life and stuff, and it turned her into a monster, and, that's just all that this is. See, Aileen Wuornos' story is a lot crazier than that. All right, and that there's a lot of different players and factors in this whole situation. All right, but as you can see in the interview, Nick, and we're going to have to find out his last name later on, but Nick, the reporter asking her the questions, he's not in the slightest bit concerned about even hearing Aileen unfold this fantastical, I mean, I don't know how much time that they had, but a fantastical story with all these people, assisting her in murder and then also trying to torture her later. Nick wasn't having any of it. He just wanted to know the typical type things. How she became such a monster, what could make her to be such a monster and this and that. And Eileen's telling the story that's much more complicated than that. It's much, much more complicated than that. And if Nick wanted to be a good reporter, let's think about it. It's like if Nick wanted to get money, or if Nick wanted to get fame or glory or whatever in the journalistic area, he might ask Aileen to elaborate. Because let's assume that Aileen is lying, which Nick clearly thinks that Aileen is lying. All right, so let's assume that she is lying. Her story is fantastic. It's fantastic for news. Because if Aileen is lying, then you could put her whole entire story, and people would read it and be so fascinated by it, and they would want to know who you are, Nick. They would want to know who you are. They'd start paying you more money. They'd be like, oh man, this guy, he got this lady to say all these crazy things, but they're not true. And they're provably not true. All right. So, but he got her to say these crazy things, and it was fascinating. And Nick would become a good documentary person. Nick would start to get more money and stuff like that. But Nick's not even concerned about. I don't know who pays Nick. I really don't. But he's not concerned about, and the people who pay him are not concerned about Nick actually making a name for himself at all, which is quite interesting. Right? Because you can listen to Eileen just is talking, 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 talking. The thing is, the things she's saying are very coherent. You know what I'm saying? She is having cogent thoughts and delivering them fairly articulately. I mean, and the fact is that she is from the South. I'm not sure exactly what parts from the South, but she speaks in a certain kind of way. That being said, she does deliver to you ideas. She does know what she's talking about. All right, Nick blows it off completely and totally, thereby ruining his whole half of the interview was a complete utter garbage. Aileen, she delivered, whether she's lying or not, a masterpiece of intrigue in this whole situation. And the thing is, what I want to point out before we get out of here, there's a couple things. Like, number one, the whole God, Jesus, zipping around on spaceships, galaxies, and things of this nature. Who's to say? The Bible will tell you who's to say. Who's really to say what it is, stuff like this. At the same time, you can be a murderer and repent and still go to heaven and stuff like that. But you got to actually truly repent. And of course, we talk about that. We'll probably talk about that in subsequent videos. But you got to truly repent. All right. Aileen Wuornos, she really did want to zip away on spaceships and go to different galaxies and stuff like that. She really, really did want to. That would be her motivation. All right, whether or not she's telling you the truth, I can't say, but we're going to look farther into it. All right, because the thing is, you'll also catch in the interview, and we'll probably finish off on this note, that Aileen Wuornos, she was not giving out her book and movie info to Nick. Because you got to understand, there's a lot of people who came to her asking questions. All throughout her prison sentence, there have been a number of people came to Aileen Wuornos and asked her all sort of questions, basically book and movie info, this and that about dates, so that we can know, so that we can fabricate different lies in and around your life. Make a book about you, make a movie about you, sell it, make all sort of money. You're not going to get any of the money. You're going to stay on death row. Psh, how about that? You know what I'm saying? You want to go outside? How about that? The thing is, that's exactly what they did to Aileen Wuornos. All right. And then you've seen the books that came out, and you've seen the movie that came out. All right, completely fabricated for the most part. They took certain dates and tried to pepper it in there, but for the most part, very fabricated. All right, Aileen Wuornos, she makes mention of the fact that she's not giving out. This is not for another book or a movie. What she's saying, why she's saying it. She said the reason that she's giving out this info is for investigations and stuff, and that's it. All right, it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, how did this video get public? But you know what? Everything comes to the light in the end. All right, this Nick person wanted to make a documentary in which he mocks and bullies, to some extent, Aileen Wuornos. Bullies her, calls her a monster, says, oh man, this is how a monster is made, this and that about her childhood, blah, 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 whatever else. That's the end of the story. Wrap a nice tight bow around it and stuff. Nobody else is guilty. Nobody else, it's not even possible. Don't even think about it. This lady became a monster and stuff. We got to think about y'all. The fact is, y'all need to stop raping each other, all right? Because you're turning each other into monsters, going out and killing everybody. All right. She wasn't giving her book and movie info. She was, in fact, giving info for research, for people to do investigations. All right. What I want to suggest to you out there is the government in which that I'm paying and that you're paying, those different governments and around that we're paying money to. They're not doing, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think that they're doing those investigations that Aileen was talking about. I don't think that they're doing those investigations. I truly am, to be honest with you, if I had to guess, nobody's out who's working for our tax paid money to get their money, their salary. Nobody's going out and investigating this at all. All right. But I'm here to suggest to you the reason that we're here doing what we're doing and analyzing what we're doing is because we are the investigators that Eileen was talking about. It's for investigations and stuff. People need to know because people can get to the bottom of it. You understand? I mean, like, for example, that Eileen put out a name. It's very interesting. Miss Villalobos or Villacorta. That's one person. Who is that person? I mean, there's people that can be found out through investigations, but you understand that the government that we're paying, they're not going to do the investigations. Who's the investigators? Some of us, not all of us, but some of us are going to look into it and understand, well, her story kind of adds up, actually. Her story is more reasonable to think about it. Her story is like, it just makes more sense, all right? Is it feasible? Yeah, it's completely feasible. All right, so why not investigate it? Because she might be lying, she might be telling the truth. How are you going to know until you investigate it? Stuff like this. I think that's why we're here. And I want to add, I guess before we get out of here, it's all reminiscent. Like when we think about it, okay, let's think about a situation. We're paying people to be the cops. We're paying people to imprison people. We're paying for the prisons to be built and all the whole nine. We're paying all that money as taxpayers, paying them this money. And we're part of the deal is that we want them to find murderers and take them off the streets, put them in a jail cell, until we decide to murder him, maybe or maybe not. Like maybe a couple decades later. All right? That's basically the situation that we got in place in which we pay all these people, all right, to do these things. We pay people to be investigators. We pay people to be the police detective. We pay them money. And they get the money to be the police detective. Lots of times, who knows, they might be overwhelmed. Maybe they just don't have the numbers. I don't know. But like in Chicago, for example, people get murdered all the time. How in the world could you research all those murders? I don't know how you could do that. My mouth's getting a little bit dry. I don't know how you could do that. All right, but the thing is, at this point, we are the investigators. We already gave the authority to the police. We already gave them all sort of money to do the work. They can't do the work. We have to understand that. It's actually very biblical in the sense that the police did have an authority. We gave them the authority to look after us. Perhaps we shouldn't have done it. All right, not in the fashion that we did do it, but we did do it. We did it that way. We gave them all sort of authority to figure things out. They're obviously not figuring things out, so therefore we take the authority back. All right, like I said, it's kind of reminiscent to a lot of different books probably in the Bible, but for example, King Saul. It reminds me of King Saul, and the fact is, God was telling people, you don't need a leader. You know what I'm saying? And the Israelites, they were like, oh, yeah, but we do need a leader. We do need an authority. We do need somebody, and we need you to give it to us. And so he gave him King Saul. And it wasn't a great idea. I mean, they didn't like it very much. But the thing is, we gave authority to the police and so on and so forth, the courts, the justice system, if you will, and stuff. Man, we gave them the authority to do this. To imprison people in such a way, to locate the killers and stuff, and they failed miserably. They keep failing miserably. Right. At a certain point, we take it back and say, you know what? For whatever reason, y'all don't have the manpower to investigate this, or y'all don't have the manpower to investigate that. Y'all don't have the manpower to investigate all sort of things all over the place. All right, y'all are slipping and tripping. All right, and we're paying you all sort of money, but you still can't deliver to us results. And so at that point, we realized that the authority cannot be given to these people no more. in a sense. It's not to say that you would attack these people. In no way would I ever suggest to attack the police and stuff like that. They're good people. They're people just being people as well. All right. However, the authority that they have is certainly a miserable failure. We do have to take it over. They don't have the manpower. We do have the manpower. We do have everything it takes to investigate every last situation. All right. Was Aileen Wuornos, was she or was she not telling some lies? Maybe she was. Maybe she did want to zip around on a spaceship, with God and Jesus and stuff, just straight chilling, zipping around, playing all sort of Leonard Skinner or something. Who knows? All right, maybe she did. Maybe she had that motivation. Maybe she was telling the absolute positive truth. You understand that the truth is stranger than fiction. You guys, I don't know if that's true, but you know what? That's a very popular saying, isn't it? The truth is much, much stranger than fiction. Thing is, the reason is because usually when you got entities such as Hollywood, is they'll water down the truth. It's the only way that they can spoon feed it to y'all without having y'all freak out is if they water it down. The truth is actually much stranger typically than the fiction that's written about the truth. And we're at a point in time in which we definitely realize that the authority that we give to people in order to do all this justice around us, oh man, it's just not working for us and stuff, man. It's really not facilitating any sort of success or peace on our parts and stuff like that. It's really not working for us, even though we're paying for it with our taxes and stuff like that. It's really not working for us anymore. You might as well go ahead and take it all back. Take it all back to include the investigations and stuff of this nature. I mean, we just don't even trust you to get the job done, to be honest with you. All right, so we're going to take a even deeper look. We're going to find out if all these things that are very possible, we're going to find out if they did, in fact, did take place. And if so, just going to give the police less and less authority. Less and less authority. That's the thing about it. God bless the police, and I wish them safety and all sort of well-being. I think a lot of people out there do. And we're gonna go ahead and leave out on that note. I think a lot of people out there wish the police the best. The problem is not the police. God bless the police. All right, the police are people too, and they're just trying to survive like us. All right, they're absolutely people too. We need to take them out of the situation. Basically, take away their authority so much. And I'm not saying take away their money. Still keep giving them money. Still, because we need the police and stuff. Even if we don't, we might as well pay them money. So it might as well, right? Have the police around. But the thing is, remove the laws in which put us all in prison, or make us so subject to the tyranny. Perhaps. Thing is, remove the authority of police just to be out and about and doing whatever they want. Stuff like this, because it is very possible to think that the police are running around doing whatever they want, because who's overseeing it? Who's overseeing all their activities? There's got to be a lot of points in the day which you don't know where a policeman is or what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? They have way too much authority. They're out way too publicly, if you will. It is very much a confrontational situation. It's not good for either side of the coin. All right, it's not good for the police. It's not good for the community around us. Stuff like this. I believe with more and more investigations into wild accusations, very inflammatory accusations, we're going to find out that some of it is a lie, some of it is actually the truth, and stuff does go on. That's very terrible. And so therefore we should take back the authority to the people and stuff, because we actually do have the manpower. It would be a whole totally a sort of a regrouping, if you will, in the idea of justice, and in that we'd actually be seeking justice instead of paying people to deliver us absolute total failure, which seems to be the case most of the time. Anyways, it's a beautiful day, all right, and it's starting to get hot, you know what I'm saying? It's starting to get bright out here. Belle's still over here. She's doing this. She's doing that kind of stuff. All right, I hope y'all are doing real well out there. All right, we're going to continue to study and analyze the story of Aileen Wuornos, but not only that, other different death row inmates who I've already seen a number of them. And it's quite shocking the differences that you'll notice, but also the similarities that you'll notice between death row inmates and general human populace and stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm gonna holler at y'all a little bit later. It is May the 12th, 2018, and I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.